Hey, welcome back to the Jesus Magnet Podcast. I'm your host, Joel Hillary, and I have my wonderful, amazing wife, Laura Hillary, with me. How you doing, Laura?
Good, thanks.
And we're joined today by Cody Perry. How you doing?
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, very good. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we are, those that are following us, we are currently based in Timaru right now. We are swinging past this amazing town. And luckily, we've been able to visit Laura's wonderful brother, Harry. So shout out Harry if you're listening. And Ashley, and we stayed with them, and they've been really, really wonderful to us. And we've gone to Life Church in Timaru. So shout out to Pastor Martin and Sarah for embracing us and letting us come to Life Church. And from Life Church, we connected at a men's group. And the men's group is run by Cody here.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I loved it. There's such a tight group of guys, and they just is it every fortnight?
Yeah.
So every fortnight they get together and they pray with each other, they seek the Lord, they read their word. I think one of the biggest parts is they're really open with the struggles that they're going through. And it was just amazing to witness and really, really cool to hear your story when we were there. And so Cody's said, yep, I've got a story. Holy Spirit wants me to share it. Let's go. And here we are. So thank you for joining us.
No worries, yeah.
Cody, you just start at the start wherever that is. And maybe we can start, because we did hear a little bit about it at the men's group. And we'll start from when you were at school.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely. At a young age, I was sort of put into a box. Sort of, I was isolated as a kid because of my disability. I wasn't able to just go out and hang out with people, talk to people, because with my disability, I just struggle with socializing, being able to talk to people, sort of thing. It's quite hard for me.
Yeah.
And at a young age, I was always had a teacher or a teacher aide or someone with me full time. I wasn't able to just go out and hang out with the other people. I was staying in the classroom, sharpening pencils.
Does it have have they got a name for what it is?
Yeah, but I can't remember the name for the life of me. They tested me and it was some really long name and I couldn't remember it. But it's like I'm sort of like I believe I'm sort of on the spectrum of autism. Okay. I may not have tested sort of in that sense, but it just seems like with everything that's happened to me, like because I'm also a support worker, a lot of my guys sort of have the same problems as I've had. So I might be on the spectrum, maybe. I don't know. Not 100%. But I just found it really hard to be able to go through school. Right up until I was maybe 13 or 12 at primary, I was still doing handwriting. They never gave me actually proper homework.
Yeah. And
they said to my mum right from the start that it was because the reason why that there's really no point teaching Cody because he's just another bum in the seat. There's actually no point teaching him, and that's what I was told ever since I was a kid. And
that's really rough, eh?
Yeah, and I struggled with that a lot, and it sort of put me in quite a bad space as a kid. I went to counselling and trying to deal with these things, and I got teased a lot at school as well. Like I've had heaps, a lot of people put me down and treat me like rubbish. I've had people jump on my back when they're going down a hill and a concrete hill and scrape my whole side of my face, and they just ran away and left me. Yeah. And so I've dealt with a lot of bullies, and it's sort of hard for me to be able, like, especially when I come to high school, is really hard for me because it's like, right, I've got a new start. I want to try and do this, and it was very much the same. I got teased again. Yeah. I got put down again. And I was sort of again maybe put into a group. Like they actually had a group of people, not the learning centre, but had a group of people who were also like me, and we were treated differently to others, which made it really hard. And I did get teased a lot, and I did sort of come to the effect of like, this is not what I want in life. I don't want to be treated like this. And then the school there was said pretty much the same as that, Cody's not learning anything here. He's not going to succeed in doing anything. Yeah. And I sort of thought, well, if that's the way I am, then that's the way I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like when I was younger, I actually had carers that looked after me, and I had two different kind of carers. You know, one that was always on his phone and never did anything, and then one who always did everything, but actually didn't have the full ability to be able to do everything. He was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like you see two different sides of people, and it makes you wonder, one who can fully do everything they can,
Yeah.
and one that can hardly do anything and do the best they can.
Yeah.
It's sort of when you say that, the Bible talks a little bit about the parable of the talents, and it's got these these three groups of people, and each person has maybe like 2 talents, and then 5 talents, and then 10 talents, and each person, the one who has, I think, 1 or 2 talents, he doesn't end up growing his talents. He doesn't end up increasing any of his talents. He just buries them.
Yeah.
And then the guy who has, 5 talents maybe makes them into 8 talents, and then the person who has 10 talents makes them into 20 talents or whatever it is. And I see that a lot in today. Like, you've got these people potentially that God's given so much potential, and then it's wasted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
those he gives them for the talents that they do have, they double those talents. And man, I'm not going to spoil this testimony because it is amazing. But you have quantified your talents.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to share this with everybody listening. So, sorry, I'll jump it back to you.
No, that's cool though.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. No, yeah, no, and seeing someone in that sense of like, knowing that he could, one could have done more, and one's doing the best he can do, it makes me wonder as a person, like, I mean, I know for a fact, is like, Jesus did the best he can for us. He did what he could for us because he wants to look after his children. He wants to look after us. And I mean, when I sort of seen that, when I sort of thought of that at the time, I wasn't growing up in a Christian household, so I'm not a Christian. I wasn't a Christian, and I didn't think in that way, of course, back then. But once you, like at high school, when I was getting teased a lot, they actually put me in some kind of boys group to help me deal with me getting bullied, with me, trying to sort of, socialize and be able to actually talk to people. And the lady that was running it, she was from Life Church. It was New Life Church, I think, back then, actually.
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah. And and I sort of, like, I didn't talk to her much about it, so we just sort of left it. But then one day I seen, like, on her actual diary saying, youth group for Friday. And then I was thinking, I wonder what the youth group is. And then I went back and I said to my brother, I'd love to, there's this youth group this lady's talking about, but I probably won't go. And he goes, you should go, there's free food. Like a whole table full of all this, like, awesome food. And I thought, well, I'll go for food. I've got to go for food.
Yeah, the food brings everyone, eh?
Yeah. And when I got there, when I talked to her about it, she said, come along, it'll be awesome. I can pick you up or you can get there, whatever's easier for you. And I said, well, I'll get there because I didn't know this lady as well. I mean, I did it was like a 10-week program with her, but sort of like, no. And she said, no, definitely come along. And once I walked in to the youth group, firstly, there was no food, so I was very bummed.
Not a good start.
No.
Spiritual food, not physical food.
Yeah, maybe that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. But that's fine. I mean, I'm not just going to leave because there's no food. I'm going to sort of try it out.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and it was a completely different atmosphere. Like, there's like the people were so happy, that the people were just like so bubbly and smiling, and it's like completely different from what I see day to day. Like, it felt like I walked into a completely like brand new place, And I went in there, and the lady that was there, she said, I want to pray for you. And I'm like, you want to what? So I want to pray for you. It'd be awesome. I'm thinking.
And you probably never had that.
Never in my life. Yeah. I've seen it on The Simpsons, and I thought, it must be like, like the Ned Flanders does it.
The Flanders.
It must be exactly like that. And of course, when she started praying for me, it was like, okay, this is a bit odd. You know, I've never had it before. And I was like, okay, all right, you can, you know, that's fine. And then she was praying for me, and then like I closed my eyes and sort of thing, because she had her eyes closed, and I thought, oh, she must be having a sleep talking. I did not know how to
amazing,
take it.
the when somebody's never experienced that, what goes through their mind when you first pray. Sorry.
No, that's very true, because I mean, I've never had it done in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, right. Okay, so I'll do it too. But like, it's like, I may have not fully actually took it in, you know, I never fully actually, you know, took the whole spirit in me at the time. But I sort of like closed my eyes, looked down, and then I just felt this warm feeling going up my body, and I'm like, oh, it must be a heater on or something. Okay, that's fine. But it's like, halfway through the night, I kept on remembering her saying, you know, if you're feeling down, pray. If you're feeling up, pray. You know, pray is the, you know, sort of the way, in a sense. And I was like, oh, okay. And then that, like, at the time I was struggling because I had a lot of finances that I owed. I had like 3 car crashes in 1 year.
Wow. Oh, that's rough.
That's
Very rough. But like, I should say, like, one car I was driving my car, and then I crashed into another car, and so I was paying both of the cars. And then I was taking my brother down to the market, and then I backed into another car, so I was paying that off, and it ended up being $1,800 just for a tiny little dent in the car. And I'm like, oh, how can this get any worse? And at the time, I was not religious or anything, and I'm like, oh, great, of course, my life's going to get worse, isn't it? You know, and like straight away, I've noticed that from when I was a non-Christian, I blamed everything on God. You know, oh, great, thanks God, yeah, good on you.
As a non-Christian, you blamed God.
Yeah, and like
Interesting.
and a lot of people do that. Like, I know a lot of people go, oh, God, man, like, you know, and then they use his name in vain.
Yeah.
And then, like, once I actually was in the church and stuff, it's like, I didn't know what to say, you know. I didn't want to, like, offend anybody by saying something. But at the time at the youth group, I wasn't going to church, but Araha well, your name's Araha anyway, and it's fine, I can say him.
Yeah. That's such an amazing name, you know, Aroha.
Yeah, love.
And he's love in Māori.
And it's so true for her.
Yeah.
She's such a loving person.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. And I was like, okay, that's okay, yep, right. And then, so through that night, I come home, and then I was thinking, well, I've never done it. I've never ever done it in my life, but I'm going to pray. And at the time, I was praying, like, you know, the job I've always wanted was to be a support worker. I've been in the system. I want to help in the system.
Yeah.
And I got told a lot, you can't do this job, I'm sorry, you can't do it because of your disability, because I was in the system for my disability. And I was like, well, why can't I do something that makes me happy?
Yeah.
And I sort of just left it. But I was doing a lot of voluntary work. I was doing voluntary work for Ideal Services as a support worker. I was doing voluntary work night and day shift at a rest home, and then I was doing day shift at a rest home, all voluntary. You know?
Wow.
And the night shifts were like 6 on, 1 off, 7 on, 2 off, sort of. That was the thing.
All voluntary. That's a lot.
Yeah. And it was from 11 to 7 in the morning. And then I'd go and do my day one at the other rest home.
Yeah.
And then I'd try and come home, have a sleep, and then get up and go to that rest home again. You know, so it was very full on, but I wanted to be in a job that made me happy, and I loved it. I loved connecting with the older people, but I more loved connecting with the younger kids, and I also did a kindergarten. No, so I loved the kindergarten. That was so much fun as well. But it sort of made me think, what kind of job I want to be in. I love working with the older people. I love working with the younger people. I love working with any kind of people. So then why can't I do a job that makes me happy?
Yeah.
And, you know, the hard thing was back then is like, it took me so long. It took me, 8 years or 7 years to actually get in a job feel like that. But at the time, I was kept on praying and praying and praying for a job. And I went and looked at other jobs. But then once they seen that, oh, this guy has a guy from a disability services, I don't want him in my work because I can't just leave him alone.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was like, I actually didn't know this until the men's group the other night, that my learning levels are so low that I actually qualified to have a support worker with me 24/7.
Wow.
And I knew that I needed a support worker, but hearing it from someone who's in the system and actually read my files, because I never read it because I was too disappointed in myself because I have a disability.
Wow.
But I needed to tell myself that just because you have a disability, just because you have, you know, whatever in your life, it doesn't stop you from doing the things that you want to do in life.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your resilience is really inspiring though, because like from the sounds of it, most of your life you've had people talking down to you, you know, saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And you've always thought, why not? Like kind of pushing that, like, I want to do this, let's find a way almost, you know, like, it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, once from going to that youth group and praying, I just prayed because I've never done it. And then, you know, and it's kind of funny because you feel awkward in knowing how to pray. I don't know how to start it. And I'll be like, hi God, yo, how's it going? You know, and you sort of like feel awkward because it's like, well, how do you pray? You know, I've never done it before. How am I going to do it? But then I prayed and then I got that warm feeling again. I'm thinking, well, I definitely know I don't have a heat in my room because I don't. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool.
So you felt something change when you were being prayed for?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I sort of thought, okay, well, it must just mean, you know, something. And I sort of prayed about, I want help with my finances. I'd love to be able to do my kind of job. And then he said to me, go to church. It's like, well, I don't want to go to church. It's so early in the morning. It's like 9 o'clock. I don't want to get up so early and have to go, you know. It's not the thing I want to do. And then I sort of like tried it again, and then I got the same thing of just church. That was all I got was basically church. And I know he was trying to say go to church, and I'm like, nah. And I sort of just didn't. And then I kept on praying, and I kept thinking church in my head. And it's like, well, okay, if I go to church, then what am I going to get out of it? You know, a bunch of people I don't even know. I went to church that day with Araha, and she took me along and picked me up on Sunday, which was awesome. And I went there and like I met all these awesome people at church. But I was standing beside actually Araha's mum, Joan, and she was speaking in tongues, and I didn't know what that was because at the rest home, if someone's slurping like that or making weird sounds, obviously having a stroke.
Yeah,
and I thought,
your whole thought process on what that is something totally different.
Yeah, very much so. And I thought, oh no, she's having a stroke.
Quick, get the ambulance. Someone call a doctor.
And I didn't know what to think. And I thought, oh my gosh, here we go. This is it. You know, someone's having a stroke. My first time coming to church and I'm giving someone a stroke. I don't know why I thought that. But of course, I've never ever had to deal with that. But I've dealt with someone that's have a stroke and they got the speech impediment because of their stroke.
For sure, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, right. And then I sort of noticed, I thought, well, I'm just going to hold out and see what happens. Maybe she's a stroke victim, who knows? You know? And then, of course, I noticed all these people around me were also speaking in tongues, and which I didn't know that was called.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Man, everyone's having a stroke.
Yeah.
We're going to need a lot of doctors here.
Yeah, ambulance. And I was like, okay, right. So I sort of left it, and I never asked what it was. For years, I didn't know what it was, and I just left it. And I thought, well, these people seem to be fine. No one's needing to go to hospital, so they must be okay.
Okay.
Everything must be good.
Yeah.
And
man, church must be powerful. Everyone had a stroke, and everyone got healed on the same day.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, and then next week's the same. Yeah. And after the actual service of going to church, I was like met all these awesome people, and I remember, especially I remember this guy quite well because we're good friends. He asked me about, what kind of work are you doing? And I told him I'm not working, but the work I want to be in. And he goes, well, actually, I work with a young fella, and I'm a support worker as well. You know, would you like to come along? You know, you could shadow me and see if this is the kind of job you want to be in.
So is anyone from the men's group the other night? Yeah,
that was Paul.
Yeah. So shout out to Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
He was awesome that night.
He is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, real cool guy.
And Paul helped me out. I mean, for a while I shadowed him. So I did a bit of voluntary work for a while, maybe about a year or two with him. But I knew that like going into the job, it was going to be hard work because the guy's behaviour and his like disability is quite high needs. So I did expect this is, he's going to be quite high needs, which I've never dealt with a person like him before. But I know I wanted to try it out because I want to be in this job. And I mean, from the first day going in there, I knew that this is my happy place. This is where I love to be. And of course, I couldn't get paid work for a while because especially back then I was 16. And people seeing you as a young kid, you can't do your job, you can't do it. And I mean, even at my job now, I'm the youngest of 21. there's no one younger than me at work yet, but who knows, someone may come and have the same calling.
Yeah.
You know, and I did that for a long time, and then I finally tried to apply for this job. And I mean, they had a bit like, oh, you know, oh, your age and, oh, you know, your disability because you're through the system. And it's like, oh. And it's like, but I want a chance to do it.
Yeah.
And they allowed me to do it. And I got put with some quite high needs people that I supported. I mean, in the first year, I've had to deal with a lot of things. You know, I've had to call up the cops. I've had a knife against me. I've dealt with a lot of hard people. But at the end of the day, I still could be so thankful because God said, go to church, you know, and because of this guy. And I mean, if I didn't meet this guy, if I didn't go to church, you know, if I didn't get told this by God, I wouldn't be here today. Who knows?
Yeah.
I may not even been a Christian.
Yeah.
You know, and with that, I kept on going to the youth group because obviously this guy's real. This big guy, he helped me get a job. I mean, it took me a while to actually get into the job, but this guy Paul also helped me get this job and then get me another job and then another job. And I'm doing 3 jobs at the moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's all in the same field that I love. And because of God helping me find Paul, you know, sort of thing, it's like, okay, this must be real. But of course, I was still on edge for a while because, you know, who knows? Who knows? It could have been some person hacked into my brain. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Wow.
I kept on going to the youth group, you know, for a long time.
And did you have that sense of community?
Oh, yeah.
Because when you were growing up with primary school and high school, you said that you were heavily bullied.
Yeah.
When attending these youth groups and church and all that,
completely.
did that change?
Oh, completely different. Like,
amazing.
It's like it was seriously like walking into a brand new like life.
Yeah.
You know, and like there were so many happy people there. There were so many just bubbly people. I didn't once, you know, get teased or get called fat or get called dumb or get called ugly or you know, tell me to go and kill myself. I got nothing.
So anyone listening to us right now on the podcast,
I'd absolutely recommend.
It's like whether they're bullied or not, but especially for those that feel like they're getting bullied or pressured or teased at school, go find a youth group.
Oh, absolutely.
Go find a church because they welcome you in with open arms. It's that love of Christ that's within each person.
And it's like you're finding like a family. It's like you know, you've got a family now. And I think it's absolutely amazing, just like the completely different kind of people that there are there and in life. I mean, it's sort of like feeling like I was looking at like I want to put it nicely, but it feels like I was sort of looking at, you know, an old life where life is so negative. You could say godless, and then coming into this new life, you know, and it's like, wow, you know, completely 2 different kinds of lives.
Yeah.
Born again.
Yeah, it definitely, absolutely. And of course, for a while, I just kept on going to the youth group, and I was there for about 2 years, and then one of the leaders was talking about, you know, you know, we need like more leaders, sort of thing, and that because I was the oldest, and they said, well, you've been at the youth group for a long time. Would you like to help? I was like, oh, I would, but I don't know. She goes, well, you know, you can come along, sort of thing. And this is when I still had like a year left of the youth group. I was like, okay. And I said, I'm more than happy to help. And so around Easter time, I actually run like an Easter games of like hiding the Easter eggs around the church. Then they have to have like 1 minute to go and find it, but it's in complete dark. They have to go and find it, get as many as they can, then they get points. Well, this girl come along that I met, and like she said, you know, go and say hello to her and go and talk to her. And I was like, okay. And I was thinking, wow, she's pretty. I was like, oh, she's so pretty. And I thought, oh, okay. And then God said, you know, just go and say hi to her as well. And I was like, oh, okay. So I did, and I went and said hello, and then we become really good friends. And her name's Ruth, just, you know. And and I was like, oh, she's, you know, she's really pretty. I really like her. And I knew like from day dot I liked her. And I just sort of said, you know, I left nothing to it. And I was just like, oh, you know, she's not going to want to date me. You know, because all my life I've been told that I'm dumb, I'm fat, I'm ugly. She's not going to date some fat and ugly person. That's, you know, that's the first thought I went in my head because of all the life I've dealt with that.
Yeah, and that's such the old life trying to pull you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But before Christ is going, no, you are exactly how I want you. And I'm a master of my craft. And I have designed you and put you together exactly to what is perfect, and no one is to say anything otherwise. And it's amazing how the devil constantly tries to twist what like telling something that it's broken when it's actually not. Like and that we believe it.
Yeah, we do, yes.
And
because we've been told it for so long.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to try and think of, no, we're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, we're not like that. And, God made us the way we are. But it's hard to try and accept that, I guess.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So did you ask this lovely lady out?
Yeah, we hung out for quite a lot, and we become quite a strong bond. And we always hung out, would see each other at church, because she went to church. She was new at the church at the time. And I was like, oh, she's really pretty. And people were like, oh, you two dating because you're so close? And we're like, no, we're just friends. No. And like, of course, from the youth, ever since from the youth group, it's like I knew straight away that, oh my gosh, I really like this girl. And then it was like, years down the track, and then God said to me, like, because we used to hang out a lot, we used to go to Macca's, we used to hang out and do things, text each other all the time. And he's like, ask her out. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No, not at all. No, not doing it. And it was like, because we're driving, we're going to Macca's, and then like, it was like he was like my wingman saying, come on, man, just do it, I got you, and I was like,
awesome.
Hang on, the Holy Spirit's like this.
Yeah.
Yes. I've never once heard the Holy Spirit being described as your wingman. But
awesome.
when God's in it, I suppose he is. That's so good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen life in quite a different way with God. I even say like Christian insurance. Like we've got full cover once we give ourselves to Jesus.
Absolutely.
We're full cover, we're blessed, we've got everything, we've got blessed access, we're all goods to go.
Absolutely.
No, I guess it's weird, but that's why I've always looked at it. But yeah, no, especially like we're really close, and so we hung out a lot, and he said about doing it. I was like, no, not doing it. I'm not doing it at all. And then it come like, I think it was like the week after, she said, oh, do you want to go to Macca's again? I was like, yeah, sure, we'll go to Macca's. And he said, look, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. And then he's like, just do it. Or even tell her you like her then. I was like, I guess all they can do is she won't talk to me again. And I just said, look, I like you. I know why I like you, but I don't know why I'm telling you. This is not me doing, this is God saying. I said, I just want to leave it out there. I don't want to mean anything from it. I don't want to, I don't want to put you off as our friendship or anything like that. I was really nervous. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, you're not on my spiritual level. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm thinking, okay, right. So yeah, I'm a new Christian. I did give myself to God. Was it about 3 years ago or something at another group, an adults group I went to, and I'm like, well, what does a spiritual level mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
You're going to be a black belt in spirituality.
Yeah, well, that one happened. But I sort of left it, and I sort of thought, okay, well, that's obviously a no, but in a nice Christian way.
Yeah,
in a sense for me. And I left it. I didn't say anything more to it. I didn't keep on telling her I do like you. I just completely left it because I thought obviously God got that wrong. He got it completely wrong. There was nothing to it. I don't know why he told me and why. That's the first thing I thought. Because of course, again, we all blame God for the things we do. And the hard thing to know is it God's telling or is it you telling? I've had a lot of people that will go, look, you just pray about it. You let me know if you want to do this, and then you go, oh no, God said no, but actually you're saying no, and God's saying, yeah, let's do it. It's gonna be so good. You should do it. I have full trust in this. And of course He's watched it all. He's seen it all. He's watched you two for your whole journey of start to now. So He knows it's the right choice, and He knew when I prayed about it that it was the right choice to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's really hard, and you can reuse God's words and say, no, of course He doesn't want me to do that. He thinks it's the worst idea ever. But actually He's loving it, He wants you to do it. And of course I left that. I left from telling her I just didn't want to weird it out anymore, because we hung out the youth group, we hung out the adults group, we hung out when we could, we hung out at church. I thought, no, because I see a lot, this is going to be weird. But I always knew I'm going to try and like get on her parents' good side. But like, hello, how you doing? How you been? And all that. And they're the most awesome people ever. Absolutely awesome. And I got a good bond with them. But of course, they were just my friend's parents. But I felt like I was nervous, like I was dating her. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to meet these people. But actually, no, they're just my, they come to the youth groups. I gave them all my Easter eggs. And I said, here you go, you can have my Easter eggs. I wanted them, but I want them on my good side. which is quite odd for me. But yeah, and of course, they could become really good friends with the actual parents because my parents wouldn't come to church with me. It was just me. My whole family, once they actually heard that I was a Christian, they said, oh, great, you're a brainwasher. Not my parents, but my uncles said that, I should say. And it's like, but I'm not. And he goes, oh, yeah, you are.
I've heard that before. You're brainwashed. And I'm like, well, I kind of agree with that. I have been washed.
I guess
my brain has been washed.
I guess
I was thinking dirty thoughts, and I was thinking dirty, like everything was mucky, and now I'm washed.
Yeah, I guess that's very true. I never looked in that way, and I guess you are a completely new person once you're a Christian, or you've given yourself to God. You're a completely different person. Like you're a new spirit. You're a new human, I guess.
Yeah.
In the same body, but a new person.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the same thoughts, but it's your way, and it's God helping you to actually change those thoughts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was really hard because I told her and I felt really awkward. I felt like, oh gosh, I just told her something. Now she's going to think of me as a complete doofus. That's the way I thought. But it come down the line, and we all said like, oh, should we go out and hang out? And we'll, all of our friends, should we go and hang out? And we'll go out for dinner. And she's like, okay. And I said, oh, I'd like Chinese, do you? And she goes, I love Chinese. And I said, well, let's go Chinese then. We can get some Chinese food. So all of our friends, we all went out from church. Actually, it was after an adults group. We all went out together. And I was feeling really nervous. I was like, oh, and she was dressing up real pretty. I just finished work and I didn't have a good day with one of my fellas, and just a lot happened, but you always try and keep a smile on my face. And I was sort of like, oh, and then she's like, oh, afterwards, right at the end, she's like, oh, do you want to come and talk for a while? I was like, oh, yeah, sure, and we'll go for a walk, and okay. And she goes, look, I didn't know how to tell you this. I told you, she said, I like you too. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, right. And then she's like, I just said the spiritual level because it's the first thing I thought in my mind. I don't even know what that means. But I just said it because I didn't know how to tell you. I wanted to, I don't know, just completely go off the topic. I didn't know what to say.
I suppose what she's saying is I want us to be totally spirit-led together.
Yeah.
If anything's going to happen.
Yeah. And like a month beforehand or a couple months beforehand, was my 21st, and she ran my whole 21st. She made a surprise party.
Oh, cool.
Like she did a 21st key for me.
Oh, that's
She got help with her brother because her brother does wood and all that, and she did everything for me. She had the party sorted, the cake sorted, she had everything sorted. And she goes, I think it was that moment was the reason why, like, why did I do all this just for this guy that I'm friends with? And then God's like, because you obviously like him. And she's like, maybe. And like in a sense of hearing that, it was like, it wasn't her talking, it was God talking. God was saying to her, said the same thing basically to me. Yeah. And he obviously knew this is all going to work out, you know. And from then, we were really close. We started dating, and then I got the feeling, and that like God was saying, it's time to like propose to her. And I'm like, oh. No, we've only been like dating for maybe 7 or 8 months. Like, it was really short.
Yeah.
But it was like God was saying it feels right. I was like, okay. And so I asked her father for his blessing. What do you...
You didn't ask her father for his hand in marriage, did you?
No, I didn't. No, that would be a bit awkward.
Especially if he said yes.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and I was completely nervous doing that day. Like, he had like a real busy day. A lot of things were happening with the family and all that. And then like, it was like 10 o'clock at night because we're hanging out. And it's like, and then I said, oh, can I talk to you for a bit? And he's like, sure. And I'm thinking, oh gosh. It's like I was expecting her to say no and just leave it. But the thing is, what I did through the day is I texted him and said, "Hi, can I please talk to you sometime? Thanks, Cody." I texted him like real early through the day so then he could get it in there. And yeah, and then we talked and I asked him and he said yes, I could. And I sort of left it for a while and waited for the right time. And then God said, "Today's the day." And I had her over, we're having pizzas, and I thought, no, today she's had a busy day and all that. He's like, "Just trust me, today's the day." And I thought, well, how do I know it's not just me talking and not him talking? And then I said, okay, then I want a more straight answer, more like in the face sign that it's
more
you.
Confirmation.
Yeah.
And I said to him, okay, then, I said, and I was completely relying on basically the whole town, everyone, to be able to make that clear. Like, how, is that possible? Well, I didn't think it would be. And I said to him, okay, we're driving out to Pleasant Point, which is about 20 minutes from Timaru. And that's where she lives, because she used to live in my old house where I used to live, and then I moved here. So she did like a swap and change, and then she's going to live here. So, but yeah, and I said, okay, then if I see a blue or silver car on my way there, then I'll know that it's a yes. And if I see I went for like a green and an orange or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. I don't think it was, because it's just looking at the colours is probably why I thought of that. But there was like two different completely odd colours you'd think would be the right colours to do. And we're driving there, and I kept on seeing heaps of was it blue cars?
Blue.
Like I seen constantly blues going past me. And then I seen a grey one, which was a truck, and then I seen a lot of blues, and I seen maybe one or two other colours, and that means nothing. But then seeing all these cars, and I'm driving past, and we're going to see a friend in Point, and then I see this whole car yard just full of blue cars. The whole car yard. There was like one white car in the middle, but the rest were blue.
Yeah.
And it's like, God's obviously like, right then, okay, what do you got? Bring it on to me. Let's do it then. Come on. Do that, me. I've got this.
In the Bible, there's a guy called Gideon.
Okay.
And he goes, "Lord, if this is you, I want you to make..." He has this like... It's like a sheepskin or something.
Okay.
And he puts this sheepskin outside. And he goes, "Lord, if this is you, you're going to wet this sheepskin over the night, but everything else is going to stay dry." And then, sure enough, next day, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and goes, no, that's not enough for me. He goes, "All right, Lord, let's reverse it. You're going to make everything else wet, and I'm going to put the sheepskin in the middle, and that has to stay dry." So I see a Gideon test in you with your cards.
Yeah.
With your cars.
Definitely.
It's so funny. And then all the blue car. Oh, that's just brilliant.
Yeah.
A whole row of blue cars.
How much more obvious, eh?
Yeah, well, I expected that it'd be the most stupidest thing and it wouldn't work. I thought, well, this can't work, because how can one guy do all this work? I mean, he created the world and stuff, but it's not like he can do it now. That's, the thoughts are running from my mind. And I was like, okay. And of course, it must have been the right time, because he's obviously given me the right sign. I had the ring in my pocket, and I'm like, it must be the right time. There's got to be no other reason why it's working. How's this working? Out of all. And original plan was I was going to try and take her down to the bay, walk on the beach, and then propose to her. But she was too tired. She just finished work, and I wasn't going to tell her, look, I'm going to propose to you, so let's go there. I wanted to keep it completely quiet, and she knows how bad I can be sometimes to try and keep a secret for as long as I can. I mean, I kept it for as long as I could. I mean, I bought the ring, maybe 2 months beforehand, waiting for that right time. I wasn't just going to do it because I bought the ring today, let's do it today. And I may have told her that I may have bought the ring by accident. And then I just kept on telling her, oh, no, it's still at the shop. I haven't paid it off yet, actually, but I paid it off a long time ago. And that's what I told her, because I wanted to keep it a surprise. And I thought, well, I already ruined that I bought the ring. I already ruined that I got the blessing. Well, let's keep something now, Cody. Come on. But we got in, and I said to her, should we go to the park and go on the swings? And she's like, okay, sure. And then and she knows I get motion sickness on the swings. And she thought I was jumping off to sit down. And then so I jumped off, and then she's like, you're right. And she jumps off, and then I did it there. I thought, it's got to be the right time. I mean, and she loved it, and I thought, oh, this is the most goofiest way of doing it. I could have done it anywhere, but this is where I'm doing it. Yeah. And she loved it. She completely loved the whole thing, and and I thought it was awesome because, like, seeing from the way my life first started to the way that my life is now is completely different. And I absolutely, you know, ever since going to the church has been an absolute blessing for me.
Yeah.
I know, like, I'm also help the kids group as well.
Yeah.
So me and Ruth and a couple of other leaders, which Mark also from the group last night, and then me and Mark are running the men's group together.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's like I'm absolutely loving this because God's just blessed me in so much ways of doing this. I mean, it's not me my doing; it's His doing.
It's amazing getting to know you over the last couple of days, and you shared a bit of this story with us at the men's group, and you spoke when for those listening, when Cody was talking about his job as a support worker, one of the other guys was Paul, wasn't it? Paul jumped in, and I'm just going to reiterate what he said because Cody's a very humble person, so he'll never say this about himself, but I'm going to just reiterate what Paul said about Cody the other night. He said, Cody is the most patient. There's something about him. Whatever it is, he just knows how to act with these disabled people that he works with. He knows exactly which buttons to press to get them to be happy. He knows exactly how to serve them, and he has this huge heart for serving. And I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember exactly what Paul said, but it was along those lines. And that your upbringing, being bullied and struggling with your learning and all that has given you this intense insight into all these people that now you spend all your week with, working one-on-one, knowing exactly how hard it is from their position, and being able to relate so intensely and so authentically to these incredible people. And I just want to, like, obviously take my hat off to you in that. But God knows what He's doing.
Oh yeah.
How does He how do you create a warrior? You know, you train them, you put them in the battlefield a bit, and that's where you were. You were in the battlefield, in that wilderness, being trained, growing up. And you look back now and you go, man, if I had never gone through that, if I had never been bullied, could I relate to my purpose as a support worker to all these people that need somebody like me to walk them through life?
Absolutely.
And when they're having a hard day, now you can say, look, I get it. I've been there. And you're able to relate. And so your trials, your tribulations have created not only that test for you, but that testimony for others.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it is so powerful. And just, you know, Paul really, man, he spoke so highly of you. And so it's just so cool to see, like, not that God designs people to be bullied, but that He allowed you to go through that trial to create the triumph.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely, yeah.
He allowed you to be that victim to overcome and have it as a victory. And it's just so powerful with listening to your story, hearing those struggles, but hearing the conquer at the end. How you've climbed that mountain, that you slayed that giant, and now you're with others, so that they never have to feel that what you felt.
Absolutely.
It's so cool. And you went from having no friends and being bullied to having family and friendship and acceptance in church, spiritual and physical.
Yeah.
And now you're engaged, to amazing Ruth. And that's 2023 January.
Yeah.
That's very, very exciting. So it's 2022 April right now. Anybody listening?
Hello from the future.
Yeah,
From the past.
From the past, but that is so cool.
Yeah.
Can I just ask some advice, Cody, on somebody listening that, I don't know, maybe they struggle with school or they get bullied or anything like that, what would you say if you were able to talk to yourself back when you were that age?
I wish that, I did have that power of being able to go back and be able to talk to myself, because the one thing I would say is just never give up. I mean, life's, the hard thing in life, and I know for a fact for myself that I thought, I'm not good enough, I can't do it. And I used to try every single day, go, and I can't go to school today, I'm feeling sick. I can't go to school today because, and I make up all these reasons why I can't go to school.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because of me doing that and doing it in high school, I haven't achieved as much as I'd like to. I haven't even done my NCA level 1s at school. And I mean, if I had the chance to go back, I'd say just don't give up. There's so much more in life. But the one thing I always try and think of is that because that person's maybe teasing me is because they're struggling in life for themselves. Because that person's making fun of me or bullying me, they're obviously struggling with something.
Yeah.
So, try and also, as well as, don't give up on your dreams also. I mean, if there's something, you're getting bullied at school, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be able to talk to someone. It's okay. There's all these, things out there to be able to talk to someone about getting teased, and there's all these sites you can go on, and it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It's, and that's the one thing I reckon is that if I was able to tell myself years ago that, you're getting teased by this person, but this person may have problems in their own life. And at the time, it's really hard to be able to think that and think, okay, well, I won't tease this person. But, I was getting told by someone when they're getting teased, they used to say when people's having a go at them, just say, God bless you, and walk away. They says some people are so shocked from it, like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Why would
Unexpected.
very unexpected. But it's okay to be able to speak to other people.
Yeah.
I have a lot of my friends at the moment, who are non-Christians, and they say to me like, this is happening, that is happening, and I go, well, just talk to me. Call me, talk to me. And I have a lot of people that call me up and talk to me because they're in an anxiety state, they're having, they're down, and they've got depression or whatever they're dealing with. And it's like, I try to say to them, come with me, come to church, come to the adults group, but they're not interested, but they feel comfortable to be able to talk to me.
Yeah,
it sort of reminds me of a little bit when Jesus was going through the wilderness, that he went through every temptation. He was tempted in every way.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
and I always wonder about that. Why was he tempted in every way? And is it to retain, because he is God,
He is.
but is it now he can relate to us? Because if you think of it, does it make sense for God to be sad and things like that? And in some senses it does, and it doesn't, but it just shows that we have this incredible God that has, an abundance of power, but he also is abundant in love. And he is able to relate to us on all levels, in depression, in being bullied. He was persecuted himself. He was betrayed by his best friends. He sold, more or less, and with 30 pieces of silver. That was the value of loyalty, and that would cut so deep. So it's so cool that we can cry out to Jesus, and there's never something that we're going through that we would ever be able to say, you can't relate, Jesus, because he can.
Absolutely.
And that you've gone through loads of these different trials, and then now you're saying all these people are messaging you, and they're with similar trials or the same trials, and you're able to say, I can relate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
This, go to church. This, let me introduce you to Jesus Christ. He's the one that broke those chains. He's the one that sets me free and guides me every day.
Yeah.
And that's just so cool to see. Really, really cool to see in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking of too is that, as I was saying, I always got told, I wasn't good enough or wasn't able to do whatever in life. And when I finally got into my job, I wanted to be able to maybe improve and get better in my job and be able to actually do this for my whole life. I knew from straight away, ever since I started the job, this is my job. I love my job.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity to be able to do my work papers, being a level 3 health and wellbeing. And eventually, I'm working on them at the moment, but I feel like that it's still the right job for me. And I'm so happy that, a lot of people at my age don't even know what they're going to do in life.
Yeah.
That's so true. They go to uni even,
get a big debt.
To be fair, I think in a lot of ways, sometimes unis, it's better off to not go just for the reason of going, because you leave uni and you got $100,000 in debt and you still don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's sometimes God's grace is exactly that. Don't go to uni. That's not where I want you anyway.
Absolutely. And there's, if you get into the right job and they're able to help you with that kind of thing, you will find the right management and play companies that will help you in getting what you want to do. I was looking at one through uni, and it was going to be something like $30,000 for my whole papers to being there. But when I went into work, I was talking to my boss about it. She goes, no. She goes, no, we'll help you for it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to pay a penny. Because we want to help you for it.
That's cool.
And
that's good, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. And it's been an absolute blessing, because I could have gone for that because I want to do my papers, the exact same papers. But they're able to help me where I can be financially free and not being in debt and paying it off for the next who knows how long.
Yeah.
And I was I just knowing that it felt right. Obviously God was saying it. Talk to your boss first. Talk about it and see what's available instead of going and just doing it. And that as like Pastor Martin always says, it ain't over until you're dead, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And also put yourself out of your comfort zone and doing it.
Yeah.
And it can be very hard to do, but when you do it, you think, why didn't I do this before?
Yeah.
And I was so scared about doing my papers because I thought, I can't do this. I won't be able to do this. But I've been able to do it. I've had so much awesome help. My tutor's awesome. She's helped me out a lot. And I've been able to, I'm able to get from papers really quick. I finished one yesterday. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I was able to do it within that one session because I know the stuff. I just need to trust in myself that I know what I'm doing. And I thought it was, it's been absolutely amazing. And for a while, I was in hospital because I got my appendix out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh.
I was at work. I got the pain. I was like, oh. And I worked through the rest of the day. I was still in quite a lot of pain going to my next fella. I'm like, driving along, like this.
Oh.
And I finished up with him, and then I talked to a lady, and she goes, you need to go to hospital, man. I'll be fine. I'll just go to the toilet. Everything will be fine. Went to the toilet. Still didn't happen. I'm like, oh, come on. I want to be rid of this pain. And then I finally went to hospital, and they're like, yeah, you need to get your appendix out. It is not looking good now. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I'm glad that you went and got that
Yes.
out. My mother has no joke, just survived by the brink of death.
Wow.
By not getting it out, and it burst inside her.
Yeah.
And for how long was it?
Oh, it was a couple days. She was like,
a couple of
she was
days,
just trying to get through it because she thought the same. Like, I can get through it. Like, it'll just be a couple days of pain or something.
Yeah, if anyone's got a pain in their side,
Yes.
go get it out. Go to the hospital. It's not. It's very dangerous to let it pop.
Yeah.
Definitely, please go to the doctors or go to the hospital if you're in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she'll be right won't work.
No.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's, the whole journey with Jesus and the whole journey of where I was to where I am today is a complete blessing. I was able to take up the offer last year, the 7th of May last year, to get baptised.
Wow.
And I
cool.
took that because
Praise Jesus.
It was just, it felt right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it like a day before, and I was like, it'd be cool to get baptised. No, I won't get baptised. And then I got a call up from someone from church going, hey, would you be interested in getting baptised? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, I was praying and I had a feeling, you should get baptized. It'd be awesome. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I'd love to get baptized. And I was lucky enough, my family come along. They come to my church.
Your parents and stuff. Wow. That's cool.
And the awesome thing about it actually was they thought straight away, oh, your church is just a money grabbing, that's all they want, sort of thing, all want. And they come along and they were surprised to see, like on the slides that come up, like, if you need wood, please call this number. If you need food, call this number. If you need financial help, ring caps. And all that. And I was like, it's like, that's what I see every single time I come to church. For them to see it themselves, and they're like, wow, I can't believe that's what your church is like. It was completely different to what I thought.
They actually help people. Yeah.
And they do. And like, I mean, at the time, our church was just starting up with the new remodel and everything was happening, and able to actually, and for my family to see what I see and what made me want to come to being a Christian is amazing, because they're seeing what I'm seeing every single day.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
And I love that my family come along, and my mum's like, oh, that's cool. I wouldn't mind coming back to your church.
Oh,
and
awesome.
They haven't yet, but I always say to them, oh, if you're ever free this weekend, you want to come to church, we can all go together.
Yeah, cool.
I'm not
going
to. Yeah, I'm not going to force it onto them, because I knew someone who also is a Christian, and he kept on nagging their parents to do it, and he and his parents ended up hating him because he was what they thought of what a Christian is. So I thought, well, I don't want that to happen, because I'm very close with my family. They've helped me out for a lot, And I thought, wow, okay, this is awesome. Yeah. So I'm hoping one day they do want to come back, and if they ever do, I'd absolutely love it.
Yeah.
They've met a lot of my family, Christian family, and I'm very open to praying and stuff around them.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like, I was a bit scared at start, and then now, in the last month, I've learned how to speak in tongues.
Yeah, and, that's so awesome.
Yeah, and
you're not stroking.
No, obviously not. Obviously not. And like they said to me, they've never heard of speaking in tongues until last week, and they said, what did it sound like? And I told them, and they was like, what? And then they're like, what? I don't understand that. They're like, are you okay? You trying to speak another language? I'm like, no, that's speaking in tongues. I said, yes, I am speaking another language.
Yeah.
That is speaking in the spirit.
That's so cool.
And they were still a bit confused about it, but it felt right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt right to me. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that is an incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome.
Yeah,
always want to be on a podcast.
Cool. Yeah. So, if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends. Share it with your family. And make sure you continue to follow us as we continue to travel around New Zealand. I do just want to do a quick little shout out to some of our supporters. So I just want to say thank you so much for Jeremy and Olivia, Claire, Dean Payne, Shakira, Mike Tonks, Joseph and Julie, Joseph Milford, and Julie Carlo Hillary. Thank you so much for continuing to support the Jesus Magnet podcast. You guys are incredible. It helps us get testimonies heard, and that's what God wants us to do. All right, well, we'll see you next time on the Jesus Magnet podcast.